We're going to continue with our series on baking with freshly ground einkorn flour. And today I'm going to be using a recipe out of the Essential Home Ground Flour book by Sue Becker. And I'll put a link to that in the description. Goes my dog. There is also going to be the recipe in the description. Now as I go through this, I'm going to tell you the recipe as it's written in the book, but I'm going to be doubling it because I got a crowd to feed tonight. You can double, triple, whatever with this recipe. It's just fine. All right, so what we're going to do, I'm going to start, it says to start off with 2 cups of warm water. I've got whey still left over from the yogurt that I made. I strained this off because I wanted to make a thicker yogurt. So I've just warmed up some whey. But in your recipe, it's going to be 2 cups of warm water. All right, then you need a tablespoon of honey, or you can use any sweetener that you like. I'm not really going to bother to measure. I'm going to do 2 good squeezes, a tablespoon each, but that's 1 tablespoon unless you're doubling it. All right, next up we've got 5 cups of flour. And this is my freshly ground einkorn flour, which is, as I shared before, 2, 3, really good if you have gluten issues and you cannot tolerate normal wheat. You can use, most people can handle the einkorn. So that's 5 cups of einkorn. All right, I'm doubling the recipe, so I'm gonna come back around for my recipe and add more. Then we want to add 1 tablespoon of yeast. For me, I'm adding 2. For one recipe, just 1. And a tablespoon of oil. I'm using olive oil today. You can use any oil that you like. Next up is 2 teaspoons of salt. Again, I'm doubling, don't double if you're just making 1. All right, 2 tablespoons of salt. And then I'm gonna get this running. I'm gonna add another 5 cups of flour since I'm doubling it. But it's just, for one recipe, you just wanna do the 5 cups. I like to move this arm around and really get it mixing. All right, I'll come back and show you what it's gonna look like when it is ready. So you're gonna let this run for about 8 minutes. You can put 8 minutes on the timer of your Einkorn mixer and just let it go. And as it goes, it's gonna get smooth and elastic. You're gonna see clean sides to your bowl. And the bowl just keep kneading slowly and working it through. That's what your dough should look like. The kneading is done. So what I'm gonna do is remove the dough hook. Let this rise in my oven. I've got it slightly warmed up to about 100 degrees. I'm going to let it rise in there till it's about double. I'm going to put a cover over it, and then I'll get back and show you what it looks like after it's risen, and we'll make it into loaves. So my dough has risen, it has doubled, and I'm going to, because I've doubled the recipe, I'm going to divide this up into 4 loaves. And I'm going to weigh out my dough so that I get it in equal portions. So I'm going to do like 20 ounces there. And I don't know what my end product's going to be. I'm going to start with 20 ounces and then I'm going to divide up and separate it out if that ends up being too big or too small. I'm going to start off 20. Let's see how much I got left here. Yeah, it's right at 40. So about 20 ounces per loaf. Is what they're going to weigh. So I'm going to let these rest just a minute because of the stickiness of einkorn. And then once they've rested, I'm going to roll them up into loaves. So I'm getting ready to roll out my dough into loaves. So I'm going to put the dough and roll it into a baguette shape. About like that. I want it to be, actually I'm going to do it this way, about the length of my pan. Alright, that rolled up nice. Now for the second one. See how easily that goes? Einkorn is not so hard to do. I'm going to put that right here. Okay. Now the recipe calls for misting the loaves at this point. I don't have a mister, so I've got a little bowl of water here, and I'm just going to pat and put just the slightest bit of water on here. This helps make for a nice crispy crust on the outside. All right, and then what you do, and you want to do this before you let it rise, you want to cut diagonal slits. This just gives it a beautiful finish. I do that on both loaves. And then we're ready to let this rise. I'm gonna put it in my oven that's just slightly warm. It helps speed up the rise time. And then I will show you what they look like before we go to bake. So it's all risen. Look how beautiful that is. And we're getting ready to put it into the oven at 425 degrees. And then after 10 minutes, we're gonna bump it down to 375 and finish it for an additional 15 minutes at 375. So, in we go. And now we wait. Well, I just took my bread out of the oven and they are beautiful. Let's see. Slide them onto my cooling rack. Let's see if I can't get them off the parchment paper. So that they can cool. Now I like to brush olive oil on my bread, my French bread, after I'm done baking it. And here I have some garlic cloves that I roasted and peeled and covered in olive oil. So this one has a garlic infused flavor to it. So I'm gonna just coat that with a nice layer of garlic oil. Alright, and then I love to put some salt on top. So there's a little sprinkle of salt. For the other one, I just want to do some plain olive oil. Makes it so shiny and it keeps it moist and just makes it so beautiful and appetizing. And then I love everything bagel seasoning. I'm just going to sprinkle that on top. And it is done. Beautiful. I'm going to cool them off. Going to take them to a friend's house tonight. And bon appetit. I hope it works out for you. Please leave some comments in the comment section if you have any questions or any suggestions for upcoming Einkorn videos. Have a good one. Bye. So a bit of a prologue here. These are the ones I'm taking to dinner with friends tonight. And they were just so light and delicate and beautiful as I was cutting them. I had to show you the finished product. And these got a little done. I'm going to leave these here with my kids tonight as we go out. But it's still really, really good. Tell me about it. She says she's going to eat both loaves. It's just that good. How about you?
Daya, see, every second she's on her time, every second. when she's done with her bread, she tells me to get her more.
And we like to make a little garlic sauce with olive oil and garlic and salt and pepper sprinkled on it. Some oregano, and then I like to sprinkle some balsamic vinegar in there, and these are wonderful to dip in there. But there you go. It's a hit. Can't wait to take it to dinner tonight.